Do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. Do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. Do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. Do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it.
Now you might think that this is just another cute little catchphrase that a YouTuber says at the end of his video. I mean, that is what I thought, until I truly understood science behind willpower. For quite a while, the word willpower has been thrown around in the self-improvement community. But how do you actually define willpower? Which region of the brain controls it? Are some humans just born with it and some just don't have it? Can willpower be increased? And if so, how do you increase it? In this video, I am going to answer all these questions from a neuroscience perspective. But before we get into the science of willpower, let's talk about why is willpower so desirable and what exactly is the definition of willpower. Your success in any domain of life to some degree directly depends on the amount of willpower that you can generate. And you use this willpower to either perform a behavior that you don't want to do or to resist a behavior that you really want to do. In order for you to become a successful person, you will have to make use of this willpower on days when you don't really feel like doing a task that is required for your success. If you want to become a successful athlete, then you have to train on days even when you don't feel like it. If you want to be a good software engineer, you have to study on days even when you don't feel like it. If you want to be a bodybuilder, you would have to resist garbage food even when you really crave it. Willpower is the secret ingredient to success in any and every endeavor of life. There is a region in your brain called the anterior mid-cingulate cortex. The name is not really that important, but it is this region of the brain that is responsible for generating willpower. But wait, that is not it. Listen to what the neuroscientist Andrew Huberman has to say about it.
Most people don't know this, but there's a brain structure called the anterior mid-cingulate cortex. But what's interesting about this brain area is there are now a lot of data in humans showing that when people do something they don't want to do, this brain area gets bigger.
Yep.
And in people that live a very long time, this area keeps its size. In many ways, scientists are starting to think of the anterior mid-cingulate cortex not just as one of the seats of willpower,
Right.
but perhaps actually the seat of the will to live.
Pause for a moment. Think about what was just being said. This region of your brain is not only responsible for generating willpower, which is the key ingredient to success, but it is also responsible for generating the will to live.
They were able to march their stimulation around different subregions of the cingulate gyrus of humans while those people were awake, and then ask those people, how do you feel? What are you experiencing in this moment? So what the subjects report when their anterior mid-cingulate cortex was stimulated is that, in their words, something was about to happen. They felt as if there was some sort of pressure upon them from the outside, not physical pressure, but that something was about to happen. In fact, one of the subjects described the sensation as, it's as if there's a storm off in the distance, but I know I need to go into the storm and I know I can make it through the storm. Okay? Another subject described the experience of having their anterior mid-cingulate cortex stimulated as, okay, something not necessarily good is going to happen, but I know that I need to marshal resources and resist, and I'm confident that I can push through. They reported feeling as if their body was getting ready to do something. One subject said something along the lines of, yeah, I feel like I'm about to do something. I'm about to go someplace or do something to resist this foreboding sense that's now coming over me.
If you are someone who's pursuing excellence, you are going to face storms in your life. You are going to go through circumstances that are stressful and demanding. It could be finishing a project at work before a given deadline. It could be doing a hard workout on a day you were feeling lazy. It could be sparring someone who's far more skilled than you. The truth is that life is filled with such stress-inducing storms. If you lack the willpower or this region of your brain is not fully developed, then that storm is going to melt you and you're just going to crumble under the pressure and give up on that thing. But if you are someone with strong willpower, meaning that you have a very well-developed anterior mid-cingulate cortex, then you are much more likely to face that storm head on and come out victorious on the other side and not just give up on things.
Allostasis is the idea that much of what our brain and body need to do, but especially our brain, is to allocate, right? Allostasis, to allocate resources to particular functions depending on our motivational goals and the challenges upon us. And in every way, what we understand about the structure and function of the anterior mid-cingulate cortex is that it is doing just that. It is deciding how much glucose should a given brain area consume. Perhaps a brain area that's involved in visual perception because you're involved in a motivational task where in order to succeed, you need to pay careful visual attention to particular things. Or you're involved in a task where you have to listen to particular things.
This is why when you see individuals which have willpower, they are less likely to quit a given hard task than those who just don't have any willpower. Let's take the example of long distance running. Assuming that both of the runners are equally trained, a runner with more willpower could perhaps outrun the runner with less willpower. It could perhaps be that because of a well-developed anterior mid-cingulate cortex, allocates more resources to the regions of the brain that are activated during running. And this could be the difference between winning or losing.
When I started seeing the data on the anterior mid-cingulate cortex, I was like, whoa, this is interesting.
Yep.
And all the data point to the fact that we can build this area up.
Yep.
But that as quickly as we build it up, if we don't continue to invest in things that are hard for us, that we don't want to do. That's the part that feels so Goggin-esque to me, that we don't want to do. Mm-hmm. To me, this is one of the most important discoveries that neuroscience has ever made, because it's that I don't want to do something, but do it anyway.
That's right.
That grows this area. And it's almost like I have a friend, he's been sober 30 years from alcohol. And he always says, you know, the amazing thing about addiction is there's a cure. The problem is it only works one day at a time.
Yep.
And so you have to renew it every day.
That's right.
So the anterior mid-cingulate cortex, to me, when I learned about it, two things went off in my head. Whoa, this is super interesting. And two, I got to tell David Goggins about it. If somebody feels they don't have it, feels like this thing that other people have, but everybody, unless they're brain damaged, like a hole through their head, has two anterior mid-cingulate cortex, one on each side of their brain. Everyone has one. They have two. So I feel like it's just a question of opening the portal.
And this is why Hamza was right. Doing the hard thing, especially when you don't feel like doing it, is the stimulus that is required to grow this region of the brain. Doing the hard thing when you don't feel like doing it, in some sense, increases not just your willpower, but your desire to exist. Just like challenging yourself and doing hard things can increase the size of this region of the brain, you can also shrink this region of your brain, lose your willpower, and lose your passion for life. If you always stay in your comfort zone, avoid all obstacles, and just numb yourself with instant pleasures. The brutal truth is, even though right now you are motivated to do hard things when you don't feel like doing them, you still do not have the systems and the discipline to do those hard things. Because as good as having willpower sounds, it is still a limited resource that is bound to run out and should not be relied upon 24/7. So make sure that you watch this video and learn about the tools and techniques that will allow you to start doing these hard things consistently.